Welcome into Dobbs Talk Live here at the Gatehouse, presented by Mancini Sleep World. Yes, we got Monte Poole Warriors Insider with me, Zena, Keita here, ready to break down the 113-95 loss by the Warriors to the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Warriors are now 16-16.
500
on the season. This feels weird.
Yeah.
This feels off because the vibes were very different. The other night against the Phoenix Suns, you would have thought there would have been a little bit more momentum coming into this game, and there was, because that first quarter was something of magic. The Warriors' offense was going back and forth, but it wasn't until that second quarter that the Warriors lost 20-11, the lowest amount of points scored in a quarter this season. Monte, what the heck happened?
The unfortunate thing when you look at that quarter is that it wasn't just Cleveland's defense. And the Warriors are missing open shots.
Yep.
Open threes, open mid-ranges, open layups. Yeah. They're missing so they could not help themselves in that quarter no matter what they tried. So when you go 4 of 24 in a quarter, I mean, only two guys got buckets in that quarter, and that's Wiggins and JK. Each got 2. The other guys got on the floor that quarter, 0 of 13. So it's you expect an offense to be shared like it was in the first quarter. They're moving the ball. They were playing really smart basketball. Second quarter, they bogged down and never really got out. Apparently good look, not good, air ball.
And that was the thing. They kept getting good looks, but to go 0 for 8 from the three-point line. I mean, TJD was asked about this in the post-game press conference, and he said it was a mixture of both the Cavaliers' defense, but also the Warriors just being unable to hit their shots. Yeah,
I mean, you look at the Cavaliers, and they're a big team. They are a horrible matchup for the Warriors because you've got 6'11" Jared Allen, you got 7-foot Evan Mobley, you got 6'9" Dean Wade. And so you're looking at those guys are all – Dean Wade is the only guy who sort of is the same size as the Warriors' big men.
Yeah.
The other two guys are looking down on the Warriors' big men.
That's right.
And so, and the thing is, Cleveland's big men, they're not great shot blockers. You know, Cleveland's, I think, 20th in shot blocks this year. But their presence is discouraging. Or as Andrew Bogut used to say, it's a deterrent.
Correct. I was just going to say they deter a lot of shots.
So you look at them, you go, okay, you go the other way. And so, and at some point it gets into your head. Even when they're not there, you're wondering, are they around here somewhere? And so, and that's the result you get. I mean, I think I counted at least 9 layups that they missed. Some were tougher than others, but they missed 9 shots within 3 feet of the rim.
Right.
And that's tough to take. So, that second quarter was a killer, and that's tough to come back from.
Yeah, I saw Marcus Thompson from The Athletic tweeted out that the Warriors were 17 of 37 in the restricted area. These are bunnies, people. These are close shots. But it wasn't just the second quarter where the Warriors derailed. You saw them come out after the half, and you thought the first 2 plays, okay, the Warriors have been able to find something. Particularly, there was a triangle offense situation set up with Steph, Draymond, and Trace Jackson-Davis, in which they were able to get an easy layup from Trace Jackson-Davis. So you're like, okay, offense is about to roll. But that third quarter was just a little bit more of the same. But this time,
that guy,
Donovan Mitchell, found his three-point shot, baby, and he did not put it down. He was hitting open and kept looking back at the bench. Okay, there was something to be said for the Cavs just completely getting whatever they wanted on outside of the arc and also inside.
I mean, I think Donovan, you know, he's one of those competitors that likes to go for the kill. And I think he sensed, okay, if we get these guys down now, we'll take them out.
Correct.
And that's kind of what happened. I mean, once they got the Warriors down good in that third quarter, it was kind of game over. And that nobody really had it going offensively for the Warriors. Nobody's got 20 points. Nobody, I think Moses had 19, and a lot of that was late in the fourth quarter when there wasn't much going on. So this is one of those games where the Warriors have to look at themselves and go, what could we have done better? And to me, the most obvious 2 things are, one, they need to be more forceful in the rim, in the paint.
For sure.
You got to be more forceful there. You can't go in there soft. And the other thing is that defensively, I think they need to do a little bit better job just making sure that those guards, meaning Garland and Mitchell, don't get such clean looks.
Correct.
I mean, I know it's hard to do. and Cleveland runs a good offense. They're really top 5 offense all season.
Right.
But if you're going to have a chance to beat them, you got to start there. Make sure those guys don't get you on offense, and make sure the bigs don't get you on defense.
You make a great point. The backcourt for Cavs, 48 points combined versus just 23 for the Warriors front court. Now, one of those members, Steph Curry, didn't have the biggest game tonight, and that's probably what was really lacking for the Warriors. He's at the podium. Let's see what he had to say about tonight's loss.
I think at one point it was more like unorganized execution, lack of clarity on what we're trying to do. And I think whether it's confidence, whether it's literally shots not going in, whatever it is, it's affecting our ability to sustain, a level of competitiveness, and myself included. So we have to be able to channel like positive energy on, like, we're playing hard, you're trying to do the right things, the ball's not going in. Any hooper that's played, when it's a situation like that, it can preoccupy you on the rest of the game at times. So that's our challenge, to get over the hump. And whether we make or miss shots, you want to make shots, and we need to make shots, but the temptation to lose confidence or feel like the world's kind of caving in on you, I don't care how long you've been in this game, it's something you have to deal with.
Independent of just making shots, what do you think is like the, not necessarily biggest issue with the offense, but the most easily addressable issue?
If I had those answers, I would think we wouldn't be asking that question, because we'd be able to figure it out on the floor. So I don't know. Everybody, I think the first thing you think of is turnovers. I think tonight it wasn't that big of a problem. It was just literally the ball wasn't going to the basket, layups, mid-range threes, pretty much everything. Last game against Phoenix, there was that stretch in the second quarter where I had turnovers. Like, that's something you can address. Each game's a little different, but the solution, I have no idea.
How do you feel like the implementation of Schroeder to this team is going?
I think the numbers obviously haven't been great, but I think the feel of him with the ball in his hands, me playing off of him, there's been some good spurts. That Phoenix game was kind of indicative of that, but we've had more games where we've been struggling a little bit. I think we have to get more clarity just on when he's on the court with me and Draymond, and when he's kind of with a different unit, kind of some go-to sets, because teams are starting to go under a lot of pick and rolls, trying to clog the paint, and the ball doesn't move as much, and we have to kind of adjust to that. But he's been around this league and figured out different situations. I got all the confidence in the world we can do it here, and we can help him. So hopefully that's on the way.
Steph, at 16-16 going into the new year, what does that reflect about who you guys are right now, but what you guys can be going forward?
How the kids say it, we're very mid right now. We're just very average. And I think we understand that better days can be ahead if, you're not in that big of a hole in the Western Conference. If you look at the standings, you go on a 5-6 game run. To us, that sounds like a lot, but it is like the numbers. You can make up a lot of ground pretty quickly. It's a tough task, but that fine line between losing hope and confidence and understanding, one good week you're kind of back in it. That's where we are.
Billy.
One thing I love about Steph Curry is he will keep it real with you. And let's look at some very real numbers. In the month of December, look at these low-scoring performances by what is supposed to be the pillar of the Warriors' offense.
Yeah.
And then, of course, that 2-point performance, no field goals, followed up by the Indiana performance with 10 points, and then tonight only 11 points. Open shots being missed by Steph Curry, including some at the basket.
Well, I guess you got to make sure that the Warriors play the Lakers more often.
Yes.
The sight of LeBron, maybe.
Very true.
Here comes LeBron. Okay, Steph's like, okay.
Let me buck up. Let me buck up a little bit.
I'm about to go full beast on him now.
He digs deep in his bag for that.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I watched him before the game tonight, and I watched Buddy Hield too. And I thought, okay, Buddy was making everything. Steph was making almost nothing. And I thought, let me see how this turned out in the game. And turned out in the game that neither one of them got much going.
No.
And so a lot of times I've seen Steph before the game, and he's missing a bunch of shots, and the game starts, and it clicks on, and you can't stop him.
Yeah.
So I just think right now he's probably asking himself some questions. He knows he's better than this, but he doesn't know now how often he's going to be this good.
Yep.
How often can you be great at this stage of your career? And it's reasonable to think that he's wondering that, because on Christmas Day, he was a monster. 38, and gave the Warriors a chance. But the games before that, and the game, and look tonight, and it's like, how often can he be a superstar?
Right.
This team needs him to be that as often as possible. But is it realistic to think he can do that every other game? So I think the good thing about Steph is that you will never defeat his mentality. He always believes in himself, and he will also believe in his teammates. So until the Warriors are sitting at home in the playoffs, he's going to be believing they're going to do something to get out of this.
But right now, Steph was incredibly honest in that, as he said, the kids say, mid. They are playing mediocre, and he is the catalyst for them to not be mediocre.
Yeah.
Now, he also mentioned that defenses are starting to adjust to Dennis Schroeder in the sense of going under screens and such. But I would say defenses have adjusted to his game as well. I mean, they've been seeing it for a decade plus, how he's able to, pull up on a whim.
Yeah.
What's going to be the adjustment for Steph to be able to get going and be able to have it more consistently, at least what you would think he would average 20 or more points a game?
Well, in the past, there's been two moves that Steve Kerr has made. More on-ball Steph is one, and more pick and roll.
Yeah.
And, I wouldn't be surprised to see one or both of those at some point. I mean, you see them sprinkled in every now and then now.
Yep.
But in the past, when the Warriors, and you look at this first quarter tonight, the Warriors offense was playing as it's designed to play.
Correct.
Ball was moving, the players were moving.
Correct.
And, everybody's getting the ball. Everybody that got on the floor in that first quarter scored. Every single person, they all scored. In the second quarter, only 2 guys scored. So it's a difference in quarters, but that's the blueprint is to how this team needs to play to have a chance to be successful, is that you got to move the ball. And Steph, that's when he's at his best. He can be on the ball or off the ball, but as long as the ball is moving, it tends to find him.
Yeah.
And when it finds him, usually the law of averages is that if he gets clean looks, he's going to make a lot of them.
He's going to make a lot of them.
Yeah.
And the thing about it is that the aspect of moving the ball for the Warriors isn't just beneficial for Steph Curry. It's beneficial for several players on this team. Particularly, I think of a young big man in the middle who often eats when the ball is moving around, and that's TJD, Trey Jackson-Davis. Unbelievable performance tonight again. I mean, he's been racking up some really great wins for himself, but 16 and 16 finishing the night, and 43% from the floor, one of 2 players that were above 40% from the floor overall, playing with some aggression. Now, I feel as if this game was wasted a little bit.
Yeah, oh no, it was.
Yeah,
it was.
it's
it's kind of
especially
like,
against these 2 big men, being able to get them in foul trouble. And,
No, when you look at the Cavs and you look at Jared Allen and you look at Evan Mobley, you're like, that's a tall task. I mean, they're both taller than Trace. They're both on the court generally at the same time.
Right.
And so for Trace to come in with 16 and 16,
a career high in rebounds.
Against those 2 guys, I mean, he matched their totals together. They had 16 rebounds. So Trace, he scored 16 points. They together had 19 points. So Trace did his part in that regard. What didn't happen is that he didn't have enough around him. I mean, the other guys this team relies on to score, whether it's Steph, Schroeder, Buddy had another terrible night. J.K. got it going a little bit, but he took 15 shots to get 4 buckets. So they're just and unfortunately, I mean, if you're a Warriors fan, you're looking at this and look at these numbers, but the unfortunate thing is that this wasn't a case where Cleveland's defense was suffocating.
Right.
The Warriors got some decent looks.
Yeah, they were wide open several times.
They even had some transition buckets they blew. So this isn't a matter of, my God, they were just taken out of their game because Cleveland is so long up front and so quick and so nifty and so agile. No, this was a game that they could have stayed in had they stayed with the plan they came out with in the opening quarter. And instead, you saw them kind of slipping. The ball started sticking a little bit. There were a number of possessions where the ball stayed with one guy, or two guys, no more than two. I mean, there were a number of times when Schroeder was out there with J.K. and the other three guys were just kind of spectators.
Standing, yeah.
And that's
Popcorn
not good
basketball.
basketball. It's not good basketball.
Just eat popcorn.
Yeah. And so that's not Warriors basketball. And I'm sure these will be things that they go over when they look at the video and the cuts. So, but again, these are things they've been fighting all year in many ways. So at some point, they either fix them or that becomes who they are.
All right. Well, the only other person that's had a percentage above 40% was Moses Moody, 87% from the floor. When we get back, we're going to talk about the one bright spot in this game, and that was Moody's game. Don't go anywhere. It's Dobbs Talk Live.
Dobbs Talk Live is presented by Mancini Sleep World. Visit Mancini Sleep World for the year-end clearance sale. Save big on premium mattresses plus free delivery. Hurry in now or visit us online at sleepworld.com.
What's up, YouTube fam? Thanks for joining us as always. Trying to skim through the comments, and I'm seeing a lot of something that I ain't gonna lie, I agree with. Steph's got to take over sometimes. Like, it's got to be his team in the sense of just being able to take the ball out, especially when the offense is sticking.
Yeah.
I'd rather it stick to Steph's
Yeah, that's
right? Out of anyone.
And that was the point that Steve Kerr made, I don't know, a week, 10 days ago, when he said we got to make sure that we recognize who Steph is and what he does. Is that the ball was not finding him as it should.
Yeah.
But again, Steph can score 38 and the Warriors can lose like he did on Christmas. So,
that's true.
You can ride him so far, but riding him at this stage is not going to guarantee you anything. You got to get more from other people.
That's true.
And the defense, I mean, the defense tonight, we held them to 45 and 38, which is below, Cleveland is the only team in the league that's shooting 50% overall from the field and 40% from three.
Yep.
No other team is doing that. So they are legitimately good there. So the Warriors defensively did okay, but what they didn't do was they didn't capitalize on turnovers.
Right. Now, the turnovers was fascinating because Cleveland was coughing it up all night. And you saw Kenny Atkinson. I saw a quote here. I saw a mention of Kenny in here. But Kenny Atkinson, knowing all the plays and knowing he was fed up when his team wasn't playing to the caliber that he wanted them to.
That second quarter, the Warriors played defense well enough to force 5 turnovers. Mm-hmm. How many points did they get off those turnovers?
0.
You can't win.
Crazy.
The Cavs had,
They finished 16 turnovers, and the Warriors capitalized to get 5 points off of those 16 turnovers.
Yeah. So
not great.
Those are the easiest buckets you're going to find usually.
Absolutely. All right, guys, let's get back to it. Welcome back to Dobbs Talk Live, presented by Mancini Sleep World. Bonnie and I are breaking down this 113-95 loss to the Cleveland Cavaliers, and I'm looking down the box score, and the only person that played 10 minutes or more that ended up with a positive plus-minus was our friend Moses Moody.
Yeah.
Now, Moses Moody has just came back into the rotation after he's been going in and out, really, with some knee issues. Exactly.
Yep.
But tonight, 7 of 8 from the floor, and particularly hitting 3 three-pointers, really big shots. Throughout the night, of course, there was some depth in the gap between the two teams, but still hitting some big shots in that corner. What'd you make of his game coming back in?
He looked good for a guy who had, has kind of been in and out of the lineup due to injuries,
Yeah.
I think Moses, when he's healthy, I think he deserves a closer look. I've always thought that, and because he's one of those guys that generally tends not to hurt you.
Yep.
He may not always give you that highlight stuff you might get from JK. He doesn't go nuclear, like Buddy can sometimes. But when Moses is out there, good things tend to happen a lot. And that means to me he's kind of reliable. He's not a liability.
Right.
And so tonight, 19 points from Moses.
In 20 minutes.
Yeah, he just went there and played.
Yeah.
He played, and that's what Moses tends to do. He doesn't care who's out. Okay, yeah, Jared Allen's tall. Yeah. Evan Mobley's tall. Yeah, but, I still got to play. And so, and in the fourth quarter, he ate, of course, because in the fourth quarter, the game was kind of out of hand.
Right.
And Moses used that to basically get himself ready to go.
Yeah.
Get himself I guess, in rhythm, you know,
Yes.
and you want to carry that over into the next game.
You could see that the game came to Moses tonight, and it was very simple. And sure, at the point that he was starting to get going, the game was a little bit out of hand for the Warriors, but it's still important to show up consistently. I saw that in our chat. There's one thing about determination versus playing consistently is another thing, and there is something to be said about the Warriors needing to show up consistently.
Yeah.
Now, the player that's been consistent, at least for the last 2 games, had been Jonathan Kuminga.
Oh, yeah.
And now, let's be real. I mean, 4-15 from the floor in 31 minutes, not an ideal night for
Right.
Jonathan Kuminga. However, he still can do some highlight things, y'all. I don't know if you guys remember this play, but oh my God, George Niang. I know you got to be thinking about this. Then there's Jared Allen. Oh, let me get you in and out. Finish above you. I mean, I want you all to think about how big Jared Allen is. For Jonathan Kuminga to be like, absolutely not. I'm not even thinking about what you might do. I'm going to just go ahead and finish my business at the basket here.
He didn't break Jared's ankles, but he kind of, you know, staggered him a little
That
bit.
little in and out was just enough.
Jared went one way and JK went the other, and it was over.
Yeah, no. Anything you can do to, I mean, first put George Niang on his back heels, and then you got Jared Allen questioning where he's going for a second. This is just the athletic ability that Jonathan Kuminga has going downhill.
But that's also, to me, how you have to attack this team.
Yeah.
You can't just look at Jared Allen and Evan Mobley and say, oh, they're big. We're not going in there. If you go in there strong. Get into their bodies. They're not big this way. They're tall.
Right.
Get into their bodies. And maybe they'll foul you. Evan Mobley had a few fouls tonight.
That's
you know?
true. That's a good
point. So I understand, deterrent and discouraging all of that. But to beat this team, you have to attack. You have to attack. And on the Warriors, obviously, the guy who does that best is JK.
Yeah. Well, even with JK, you know, finishing still 18 points, biggest thing, 10 of 14 from the free throw line. Yes, JK, let's go. That's huge. That's a huge, huge, huge factor. And youngest Warrior to hit 3,000 points.
Yes.
For the Warriors. I forgot the big one.
I like one more.
You talking about that one? 0 turnovers?
That one?
0 turnovers is huge.
No, 0 turnovers is always good.
Oh, are you talking about the 10 rebounds?
10 rebounds.
Oh, my
10 rebounds.
bad.
10
my
rebounds.
bad. We got to give him that, too.
10 rebounds.
0 is huge.
Yeah. So
that's huge. That's still a great game overall. Offensively, not what he probably would have as a high standard for himself, but still a really remarkable game
look at
for
this,
Jonathan Kuminga.
Just look at it this way. In a game the Warriors lost by 18, he was -5.
Yeah.
So that means he wasn't, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a really good point.
His shot wasn't great tonight, but everything else he did was good.
He still keeps up on the defense. Now, I want to look at some more offensive bright spots because there were a lot of good things that the Warriors did tonight, especially early and being able to utilize some of their plays that everyone has scouted before, particularly their split action.
Right.
So there was a particular split action play that I was like mesmerized by. But here you go.
Okay.
Andrew Wiggins gets the ball into Draymond. Now the split action begins. And this happened not only with Andrew Wiggins, it happened with Trayce Jackson-Davis later on in the game. Here you go. They're overplaying Steph, and now you've got Draymond doing an over-the-head pass inside to Andrew Wiggins that obviously has a size advantage there on a Cavaliers defender. Love that play. Why can't that happen more, Monte?
Yeah, that is one of the Warriors' pet plays. They've been running that thing for years. You know? And when you got Wiggins and JK out there and Trayce, you got 3 guys you can run that with.
Correct.
You know, and all 3 of those guys, when they get in the paint, they should either be able to dunk it or get so close that it's almost like a dunk.
Yeah.
You know, you saw Wiggins
get
with the
fouled,
floater.
something.
Yeah, Wiggins made 2 feet out, whatever he was, you know. So they're built to do that play, and teams kind of look for that, but Steph is the guy who kind of makes teams afraid to go too far. Right. So they always want to make sure that Steph is not hurting them, and that's what gives the other guys an opportunity to get open and get a bucket.
There you go. All right, when we come back, we got to erase this game and look forward because the Warriors have more games to be played, including 76ers, Memphis Grizzlies. More folks coming down. Let's keep on Dubs Talk Live.
Air Congo.
All right, YouTube. I'm actually simultaneously was watching the Sixers-Blazers game because the Blazers were trying to stay close. Yeah. Not sure if anybody in our chat has seen anything from that game, but they're coming in. Now, interestingly enough, we're going to talk about, we're going to have a small window to talk about them, so let's talk a little bit here. Most disappointing team in the NBA this year?
Yeah, but they've been injured.
That's
Joel's
true.
in and out of the lineup. Paul George missed a bunch of games. Tyrese Maxey I love Tyrese Maxey as a player.
Yeah.
And for a while there was like murmurs that maybe the Sixers will trade him. Oh,
Yeah.
That's the one guy they won't trade. I mean, they love Joel, but, Joel's at the point where they love him when he's on the court, but he's out a lot, and so they're a different team when he's out there. They're a really good team when he and Paul and Tyrese are all out there together, and you're starting to see them come to life a little bit. And so, but to me, those three guys got to be healthy for the Sixers to be a force. And, but Maxey is the guy that I look at and go, that guy can hurt you. He's really good.
Now, you know what that makes me think of? This comment right here, Aria Monroe. I swear, Ricky, I miss Jordan Poole so bleep much.
There's some similarities there.
Right?
Yeah.
I think of Maxey, I think of shifty, creator.
Yep.
Poole is now the
can
best
take
player
you
on
off the
Wizards.
dribble.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, I mean, just like JP was good off the dribble, he could beat most anybody on defense. Maxey's the same way,
Correct.
and so, that's
the Warriors do miss that.
That's an element they don't have. JK can do it in spurts. He can do it sometimes. But
JK can do it, especially in a bigger body, for sure.
Yes.
But they just need one in that backcourt.
Yeah.
As much as they need it in the front.
Jordan, so that first step is killer.
Absolutely. All right, let's talk about what's coming up next. Welcome back to Dobbs Talk Live. Now, the Warriors lost to the Cleveland Cavaliers tonight, but that means now they have to look ahead. 76ers, Memphis Grizzlies, and the Sacramento Kings that just beat the Mavericks tonight.
Yeah, I saw that.
This homestand continues. Of these games, especially with tonight's loss, Cleveland Cavaliers are running, they're 7 straight, all right?
Yeah.
But looking at the 76ers, looking at the Memphis Grizzlies, who have been without Ja Morant, Santi Aldama, Zach Edey, they've had Marcus Smart, they've had several injuries, and then the Sacramento Kings that have just experienced losing a head coach. Which of these three would be a barometer game for the Warriors, do you think?
Memphis and Sacramento. I think both of those two Western Conference teams.
Yeah.
The Sixers and they're going to be good, and the Heat makes you earn everything.
That's true.
That's what they are. But I look at those two the other games against the Kings. Obviously, is a team that you got to try and beat, especially right now. And the Grizzlies, who they've kind of owned the Warriors. They smoked them not long ago in Memphis. So, but the Warriors were trying to use this 6-game homestand to create some momentum. They got one win before they got knocked down. See what they do.
They got to build some momentum. I mean, Steph Curry just said in his post-game press conference, if you can get 5 and 6 games, this turns everything around. You get the confidence back. You get the momentum back.
Yes.
You're still in this thing. But as of right now, the Warriors have to go back, lick their wounds, and learn from this game. They lose 113-95. We appreciate you breaking down the game with us. That's been Monte, Poole. I'm Zena. Keita. There you go. Enjoy the rest of your evening, folks. Dobbs Talk Live, presented by Mancini Sleep World. Ooh, I like this. E Paracua, that JK juke. Ooh.
I mean,
I like that.
The what he did to Jared Allen that's
pretty.
nice.
A little in and out was pretty.
Yeah, that's nice.
I mean, it's one thing to go in and out. I like an in and out move.
Yes.
Yes. I like it on the. I like it on the. Yeah, I like it on the right side more.
Okay.
It is hard to do that, get the momentum, go up, and finish. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you can get too excited that you got out, that you go too hard. And so the fact that he finished it with a jam like that was pretty.
I mean, to me, this is all part of Jonathan Kuminga's ongoing development. Mm-hmm. His handle has gotten better.
Yeah.
There were times a year ago, even before he went on that late run to really kind of show up, late last year, there were times when you saw him dribble, you're like, oh, is he going to be able, to maintain the ball?
Right.
And he would lose his dribble a lot. But a play like that is like, okay, that's nasty because he can do that to Jared Allen. He can do it to a lot of big men.
Correct.
So that's something he has in his pocket now. And if he can start doing that to big men, that's one more thing he has because he maintained control of the ball, which is key.
I want to see that against a Joel Embiid. That would be a lot of fun. Okay, question. How long is Pods out for Manus Brown?
Steve Kerr said day to day.
Day to day. Okay.
Now, that means he could be back as soon as Thursday or maybe Saturday, or sometime this weekend,
Yeah.
But again, you know, you want to see him back, but you want him to be healthy when he comes back.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely. You want that's the New Year's resolutions. Period.
Yeah.
Health for everyone in the NBA, especially, you know, all of these young players too. I'm just like, I'm hating it. Like, you know what? This is gonna be a perfect one to close the year on, or close the year on, close this show out with. Catherine Gibson, longtime Dobbs Talk Live member, along with Otis and Ennis, all our folks on our chat. She says, I am ready for a New Year reset. Catherine, I'm with you, girl. All right, we're
put
gonna
those
close
black-eyed peas in your pocket.
There you go. Look at you with the old tail. Listen to what he's saying.
I'm just saying.
Stuff.
I mean,
That's
I've
some real
heard
stuff.
about that for years.
Yeah,
so.
it's a real thing.
Yeah.
It's a real thing. All right, y'all, we're going to wrap it up. Enjoy your New Year's. Be safe. And hopefully on the other side of things, Warriors will go up from 500.
There you go.
Good night, y'all.